this crap.
Yeah, that's the thing. I try to be kind of careful with like of consumer culture and stuff because it is a big waste of money. Like
Yeah.
obviously I have my collectibles back here, but I'm pretty disciplined with it for the most part.
I try to be now. I didn't used to be.
Yeah.
I remember I used to watch these like pop collector channels,
Mhm.
and I would watch these people like they would go to like Hot Topic or whatever, and they're like they would buy like the hard plastic cases, and they'd be like, "How about these are gonna be worth some money someday?" And I was like,
No.
You know what I never understood, and I don't know what they're called, but they're like those figurines that are like a certain cartoon style, and then their heads are like blocks, and you can get them for everything. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
You're talking
those
about-
pops?
Wait, what? Which one?
"Are you talking about pop figures? That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about."
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I-
yeah,
I feel like that is just an orchestrated consumerism. plot for
Exactly,
sure.
it
yeah.
was.
Hold on a
But-
second.
Was I feel like they're
It
still,
still
like,
is. You're right.
they're did you get Beanie Babies growing up?
Yes.
No,
Okay,
I
did
loved
too.
them.
not a
And
chick.
there's a documentary out about like their rise. and how
Jeremy!
people
Oh,
are crazy
fuck,
over
he's
them,
gone.
and they're kind of like one of the things that it reminds me of is like the jellyfish toys that are popular right now. That
Oh.
I think they're hilarious. It'll be like a croissant that has eyes and little feet or whatever.
Okay.
Only get them at small stores, which is how they circulated Beanie Babies. You don't get them in certain places you wouldn't even ask for. And I think it's part of the like scavenger hunt thing. When I read about things, collect them all. Yeah. Also, you know,
We weren't really allowed to get into that until we started playing the video games, and we really liked the games. She didn't seem to have a problem with
Hey,
that, but
Jeremy has that
they
They
blood.
were
other than
pocket
that, yeah.
monsters. Your mom let you play that?
at first she didn't, but then we got a little older, and it was like, okay, once we got like the Game Boy Advance games and stuff, then she was more chill with that at least. But yeah, but the thing is with like Beanie Babies, for example, my brothers and I, we actually played with them. We didn't get them for like the collectible reason of like, oh, we gotta have all of them. We need this. We need this. We actually played.
I went to loathing Brie Larson. Being the unofficial #1 fan site for Brie Larson.
How about a handshake?
Uh,
You're gonna give me your jacket, your helmet, and your motorcycle, and in return, I'm gonna let you keep your.
It's like 1,500 and they're still worthless.
Yeah.
I have ones
You
that
have
I have.
That's the
I
best
have
part of the situation.
yeah, I have it. I got sucked in. I didn't buy a lot of the regular pop stuff. I bought a lot of the.
new
We
face.
only made 500, and then I was like, oh, I'll get it signed by something. I
mean,
bought this years ago and it's still worthless.
If
Yeah.
you like something and it's a trinket and you're displaying your home, like I'm not gonna, you're allowed to spend your money how you want to. I just never understood with the Funko Pops when people will have like huge bookshelves lying everywhere with like every
Exactly.
character. Like if you have a favorite movie and you like the art style,
Yes.
get one, you know? Like what are you gonna do with 600? Save for the Beanie Baby people.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's how I am with things because like there are different, especially when it comes to anime. I really will latch on to an anime if I like the characters. So there's certain things where it's just like I love these characters, specific characters, so much that
Stop
I want to get the so that might maybe through a Funko Pop, for example. But I'm not into the I need all the Funko Pops,
3
collect them
hits and
all.
I'm
It's just
already
like, oh no,
down.
I just really like this character, so I want this character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been much of a collector,
so
or at
fucking
least of like
laggy.
those kinds of things. I'm sure there's something I could like. I have a lot of books, I guess, or like there's
Mhm.
probably something that counts as collecting. But I
Let's see.
think that like when you're just when you're just buying all of them,
Let's count it.
to what end,
One.
right? Like it doesn't fulfill.
Well, you
any-
consume
second
product
delay.
and then you get excited about the next product. Don't you know how this works?
Yeah, my
That's the
thing
thing,
is
it's kind of an empty cycle.
it is,
Yeah.
and it's like how much space do you have in your home at the end of the day? And that's what because I used to
That's what killed it for me. I ended up selling so
For
much.
me
because I was
too.
like, I'm out of room.
because it was
Yeah.
like, hey, okay, I like what I can
One.
display here. It's like I don't have much room for more, so I'm not trying to like go out and
That's
buy a
3
bunch more.
seconds.
every once in a while or something. Oh, here's a character I just really love. I'll make room for one more edition, but I'm not buying all the time because it's like
I was
I don't have
just
space for it, and I don't want
when
to just
I-
put stuff in
oh,
boxes in my
yeah.
garage. And I also just don't want
Where'd
my
it go?
home to be cluttered with a bunch of collectibles.
I know I
either.
walked in on one.
There's no display in your garage. It's like, not
Exactly.
There is one girl whose content I've seen on Instagram, and she collects like a specific shade of yellow Crayola. I can't remember what it is. Like,
Wow.
I can't, it's like daffodil yellow or something. And she'll go to garage sales and
What
buy
the
like
hell are
boxes
you-
of those crayons to find it.
One,
It's
Okay.
great,
3
but I
seconds
kind
later.
of like the dedication to like super niche
That's
collecting.
very much. Yeah.
27 Funko Pops off their website. Like, where's the
Right. To get to Trump's big beautiful bill has passed.
Oh,
I
Like,
think-
really?
now we're done with this. Back to
Well, no, it's fine. I think most
Big
people feel
beautiful
like
bill has
me.
passed?
Like, there's not a lot good left in it. There's not a lot of good left in it. I feel defeated and angry because I was hoping it would be different, but
I don't.
also resided to the fact that this is the way our corrupt government works.
I don't. Admittedly, I'm not exactly sure of all the fuss with the big beautiful bill.
Come
I know
on.
there's a lot of conflict surrounding it. I just always default to, well, I trust Donald Trump, but I don't
I
know
trust
what all
this
this
motherfucking
big
man.
beautiful bill implies.
Why don't you
Neither
break
should
it down
you.
for Hannah Claire?
I mean, it's hard to break
Yes.
down because it's 956 pages or something.
Yeah.
It took 18 hours for Senate staff to read the other day. It's a massive bill that encompasses a lot of.
It was supposed to be the no tax on tips.
It is.
No.
I mean, there is no tax on tips in it. There are some cuts to Medicaid, which some people support, some people don't. There's a lot of stuff in it, and I think that's one of the problems. With the AI
Maybe.
provision that was in there.
I'm not gonna
The House
They dropped
voted
that.
to pass it. They did drop it, but the House voted to pass it. Marjorie Taylor Greene actually didn't like the provision, which is the right to regulate AI to the federal government and not the state, was in here. And if I had known, I would have voted against it. Already a problem for me.
Oh, dang, you said it's
Eventually, that thought will move. There are other provisions that people are still fighting over. And what I think is interesting is Lisa Murkowski, she's the senator from Alaska. She apparently has already
it makes
said,
sense,
even though she
but
just voted to pass it, that the House should go back through it and keep taking things out and then send it back to the Senate for final approval. I mean, that would be the third iteration of going
But
through
they
it,
passed it.
possibly a
It's
fourth.
over. I mean,
No, it has to go back to the House for final votes because the
oh
Senate
right,
changed it.
right.
Now
right.
she's saying the House should change it again, which means like, so what? We're just sending it back and forth. Like, is it a symbolic win? Because Trump wanted it passed by July 4th. Like now the House has to go back through. And
What?
removing stuff. I don't know. I mean, I know I said this yesterday. If people are watching from that show, I just hate massive bills where there's so much of them that I'm reporting on the same
I
bill from
really don't
87
get it.
different angles because it touches all kinds of different parts of policy and life. And the idea that like senators have now voted on it and they're like, but keep checking it to House. It might not be ready. Is kind of crazy. I mean, how many times do we toss this spending bill around before we say this is not working?
Well, that's part of the problem is that where you, someone in chat says, I collect Shaq Fu Genesis cartridges. I have 38. I appreciate that. That's very
That's
cool.
amazing.
Excuse me?
The problem is, they put limits on the no tax on tips.
I collect
they put
businesses.
limits on the no tax on overtime.
International.
And when it gets bounced
Real
around,
foes.
what happens is Trump says, I want this. And then he goes about his business. Then it goes through the House. And all the people that are taking money from Israel and the United Arab Emirates, China, and all this crap, Planned Parenthood, anti-gun lobbies, they throw all this garbage into the bill. That wasn't there.
This is
then
FSR?
they, hey, my
Yeah.
constituents want me to be, to put my foot down and have some more money for Ukraine in here, and all this crap. And by the time it gets passed, it's no different than
Seriously,
any
this
other
is FSR?
giant omnibus bill
This is what
that
everybody's talking
just
about.
fucks over Americans.
So
Like,
why is Trump so?
It looks like
about
shit
this
to you
bill?
because it looks
because Trump is more
just
about
the way you're
optics
looking at
than
it.
anything. I think Trump really cares about Simon Singh. He doesn't care as much about the pork that's getting crammed into it between now and then. That's my opinion. I can't say that for a fact, you know.
I think that's part of it. I also think as a negotiation tactic, like having a hard deadline that's coming up, you know, makes sense. You have to get something, otherwise you just keep it back and forth.
Yeah, but otherwise what?
Looks a
I
lot
wanna
better
buy
than
the
FSR, I'll
fourth
tell you
order.
that much.
That's what I kept
This is
thinking.
the way I
Again,
always
like
Nothing.
negotiating tactics. Like if he's the
Yeah.
boss and he says, "I want this by Friday," you know, it makes it more of a deadline, puts pressure on everyone else. I think the other part, from my understanding, is because it's fairly early in Trump's term, getting a certain amount of budgetary cuts in place or money freed up would help him carry out other legislative goals or administrative goals. So one thing you hear is like increased support for ICE and Homeland Security. I mean, there are a lot of people who want stuff like that, but we have to link it to all of these other things to get it passed. And procedurally, they'll say yes because people vote once, but as a consumer, or as the American taxpayer whose money goes towards this, it's hard to be like, all of you don't know what's in here. You don't know what you're entangling us to. Some of you do because you've slipped something in. But why should we have to link
Now it's right
spending
here.
on border security with Medicaid? Like, are those things actually or just under the guise of budget? You have to link them together.
Yeah, and like even in chat, one guy says, if you don't pass it, everyone's tax goes up 35%. 3 spots later. If you don't pass it, 68% tax increase. Like, that's all nonsense. They can break off tax rates and pass them every single day. It's not
And they
if
expect
this
you to
doesn't
get
happen.
dollars for this.
It's if we don't accept all the other bullshit, then there's tax. And like, you know, I voted for Undies in the bundle chat. Like every time, like I can't stand
What the
Trump
fuck,
focus,
dude?
like,
Look.
catcher.
I gotta do like 3
Not,
times.
not everything Trump does is perfect.
1.
It's cringe to say it.
Wow. Didn't
Now
do-
I don't blame Trump for all the pork that's getting put in, but I will blame him for not kicking it back and saying get rid of this shit. He's more interested in having a symbolic victory on
Okay.
July 4th. Trump is all about optics. That's what this is. And it's very, very frustrating to me to see, you know, they remove the suppressor stuff. They, you know, getting rid of the AI stuff in the land and selling federal land. That's good. Nobody wanted that. But like,
Oh, right. Okay.
it's not what, it's like a third of what they said it was. And it's like a lot of what they said it was. And unfortunately, the American people, this is the only way we can get anything. It's like, hey, oh, no tax on tips, great, that
Bro.
sounds awesome. Well, if you want that, you're gonna have to send another $50 billion to Ukraine. It's like, wait, what?
Why?
Yeah, but why? That's not what we want. What like,
And the answer is like because we had to get it passed by a certain date. Like it sort of doesn't make sense. Other
it's
than
nonsense.
and the reality is a lot of it is like it's crunch time. This has to get passed, or something has
I
to
mean,
be
at
done.
least it
And so
says
there are
it
other
here.
people who can be strongholds and be like, "Well, I'm not going to vote for it unless you put this in." Or we're
Right.
not. Our
There's a lot of vote trading that goes on. I'm gonna only vote for it if, like, I don't know if I can make a perfect example from chat, but like, I mean, this has happened. Look at famously. Remember the Patriot Act, which was obviously garbage, but it was passed on the
Look at
11th hour.
my right-hand
get
corner on
the
top of
votes.
the
For
mini
some
map.
reason,
The
The Patriot Act also
megabyte
banned
per
online
second.
gambling.
it goes
Like,
from
it had nothing to do.
120,
Right, it had nothing to do with national security, nothing to do with anything. It's
79,
just some senator was like, I'm not
77.
voting for this unless you put this in.
72.
Or my guess is multiple.
You would swear
like
I'm
in Las Vegas,
actually on
in any state where there's legalized gambling or
Wi-Fi.
sports books, we're probably like, hey, here's your chance. We donated
You know what?
$5 million to your
That's
campaign.
probably it.
Now we're calling in a favor.
Look,
Now that $5 million
just-
you donated to your campaign, now you know
up
why
and
we did it.
look, they just popped
And
out
you
of
get
nowhere.
shit like that thrown into these omnibus bills. And, you know, somebody says 1.9 trillion in cuts over 10 years. We need to get something in or we will lose everything. That's the attitude. Though, listen, I'm not coming down on you. But that is the attitude that they want you to have so that you support these
really,
omnibus
really
bills.
odd.
oh, the government's going to shut down if we don't pass the budget.
What?
And like,
It is?
it's shut down, I think, twice in 20 years, and the world kept turning. And it's just, they do this shit to make people afraid, and it's nonsense. Nothing stopping us from passing a singular bill that says no tax on tips. Stamp it. Nothing. There's no rule that says it has to be some giant 2,000-page monstrosity. Go ahead.
Something Doxter says in chat talking about the art of the deal. That's something I can't help but kind of gravitate towards that frame of mind, because look at what Trump has done so far, that he's gotten so much pushback over things that have turned out to be okay. Look at the tariffs, for example. People are freaking out, losing their minds over the tariffs. Everything's okay right now. Look at what happened with dropping those nukes in Iran. Freaking out that World War II was going to happen. That didn't happen. Everything's okay right now. So I'm just curious to see how this plays out before I get too ahead of myself. It's definitely something I want to look into more. But I just know that Trump is an incredible businessman, and he has done an amazing with the economy in our country. And so I kind of want to see what his vision is.
I think your reaction, by the way, is easy. Tax increases tied to this crap sandwich. Yeah, exactly. I think I quote tweeted somebody this morning that shares your sentiment, and I think most people out there share the sentiment. I'm gonna go to Hannah Claire because I'm talking too much, but like,
No, you're not.
like
Only thing I can do.
most people will judge this based on how the economy is in 6 months. Nobody at the local pub is talking about the big beautiful bill. No one. It's just people who are terminally online.
I didn't say nukes, by the way. I meant bombs.
I know.
Destroy their nuke production facilities.
Maybe I should go back to this
But, like,
character.
I don't think the average Joe.
The only reason
gives a
why I
shit
started
about
that
this
one
work
is because
is
this
really the way
one
our
was.
government always has worked.
But if it's the same, I mean, they're the same level.
How do you balance that, Hannah Claire, with like accepting that this is how our government works and saying, you know, I don't want the good, even if it's like the peanut in the turd, because that's essentially what all these omnibus bills are. There's the little peanut in the turd that you wanted, and the rest is all garbage.
Ooh.
Right. And I feel like each side is
That's a
critical
nice
of the
tip.
bill or how big the omnibus bills are when they're in the minority in the chamber, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know Republicans have complained about these massive bills. You know, I think it would take a lot
Oh
of
crap!
radically
It's the same
thinking
thing.
politicians or you know,
It's the
strong
same
personalities to
fucking
say,
thing.
even though this is business as usual, we don't want to continue that way. For the most part, it would probably have to happen at chamber leadership. So you would need like Mike Johnson to be like, I am not ever going to bring an omnibus bill to the floor.
113. Oh, I'm looking at my.
That would be a huge political
Megabytes
target
per
to put on his
second.
back, and I can understand where it's hard to change a system that's already in motion. But it's. I think you're right that in some ways it's like expecting the American people to settle for less, and I think that's why people like Thomas Massey have such a big appeal, because he'll be really explicit about the fact that he won't vote on something he hasn't read, or that he is critical of bringing omnibus bills to the floor. Or at one point it was like allowing people
That's
to be
way up
away from
there.
the seat to vote. The
That's also
way
way
it
up
keeps-
there.
I mean, you've already kind
What
of
I mean
addressed
way
it.
up
The
there,
reason
I
it
mean,
keeps
like,
happening, I think, is because we have this like
around
pressure
here.
cooker. The government might
It's
shut down,
right
or
here.
people will lose whatever,
And
or
the second one
anything, any of these sort of
is,
esoteric
right here.
threats that could
I can't go
potentially
there right
impact
now.
people's lives, but often we have the build up and then nothing really happens, or the problem gets resolved. I think one of the hardest parts
What
of the
the
Trump
hell? I can't go
administration
backwards.
has been these negotiations over budget, because we
I
had one
mean,
before
for that,
the
I might as well be in
inauguration,
IRL.
and it was similar. Like there were
I
things
really
that
can't.
people hated and
feel like
things
go backwards.
that Trump was backing. And I generally,
Walking
I
backwards.
would rather have Donald Trump in charge of the economy than Kamala Harris and whoever is advising her, more than Joe Biden. But I think it's reasonable to say you have to stop doing this. Like, if you want a tax on tips, that should just be a standalone bill. And you can have
Right.
a huge bill signing, and Trump can sign it in the Oval Office, but rolling it in with other stuff makes the American people more wary of how the government works. And I think building trust was one of the best things that Donald Trump did with the American people. I don't want it to squander this early over things that don't have to be this way.
Yeah, I think, you know, I also
Just
am
a what?
not
Check?
like on the doomer side.
No,
like
I don't.
Elon's crash out is kind of cringe to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of over caring what Elon thinks about politics. I
That's
don't
where
know
I'm
if
at
that.
too.
Yeah, like I
I was never
get
that
it.
into it, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
same.
I get that he's smart. That doesn't mean he knows everything about everything. I liked him backing Trump because I liked his money
Right.
and I liked, the energy, but I never gave a shit about what he wanted politically. And I don't think that he necessarily knows what's right for the government either. And I also think him having a mentee be about
Yes.
this, like, I'm going to start a third party. That only hurts Republicans. So thanks,
does.
buddy.
Exactly. Because it's not
Like-
going to help anybody. It's not like he's going to start a third party that's going to win. All he's doing is dividing the right. That's all it is.
Yeah. So, yeah, what I support, I don't know. What
Even
you call
for
it,
typing
bill
it
about
likes.
bills, like that, no bill shall exceed 10 pages. Yep, I would, because nothing should be more complicated than that, and it's wild. Before we get into perhaps the most disappointing news of Hannah Claire's life,
What?
I do want to give a chance. I do want to give a shout out to my wonderful co-host today. Why don't you let the folks know where they can find your content, where they can support your stuff?
All right. You guys can find me on YouTube and Rumble at Bible Time with Melanie Mack, where I have Bible verses of the day shorts on YouTube. They don't have shorts on Rumble. And then I have a
They will
daily.
soon.
Oh, really? Okay. How
Yeah.
exciting. Well, soon to be
Melanie's
on Rumble
gonna take
there.
it by
You
storm.
have.
Yeah.
Yes, and then daily devotionals, daily
yeah.
Bible devotionals every single day.
Learn.
So on Rumble and YouTube,
Or-
and then I also brought my Bible verse of the day over to Instagram
China.
and X
You shut
and
down.
TikTok
If
as well. That's
you
like my main focus.
Have.
But then I also have my pop culture, nerd culture commentary
Send
channel,
it
Melanie
in
Mack Go
and,
Boom, and I have a weekly stream every Wednesday there as
We're
well.
not gonna do anything about it.
I don't know, Hannah Claire.
You can find my work on Rumble and YouTube at Hannah Claire B and also on X at Hannah Claire B. I cover news, politics, do some cultural analysis, and I was going to cover the Idaho 4 case, but it's in a little bit of turmoil, although I'm happy to share with you my many, many thoughts and conspiracy theories that have cropped up in the 24 hours since. But yeah, thanks to those of you who have supported my work. My channel is weird because I cover kind of whatever I feel like, and it ranges a lot. So I've been really grateful for those of you who have been watching videos, interacting with them. I also do shorts on YouTube, although I'm scared of TikTok. So they are not there, and I'll bring them to Rumble when Rumble accommodates. But again, it's at Hannah Claire B on X, on YouTube, and on Rumble. Thanks for all the support. Jeremy, are you going to tell us about some fun products?
Well, I just want to shout out CB Distillery. Summer's here. It's time to relax and hit the refresh. But if stress, sleepless nights, and sore muscles are getting in the way, CB Distillery has got you covered. CB Distillery's 4th of July sale is on. You can save up to 50% off site-wide with code RUMBLE. I'm a big fan of their product and also their paint stick.
Stuff.
CB Distillery's
You're gonna
got
say
plant-based
stuff.
solutions for just about everything. Better sleep, relaxation, mood and focus, even pain after exercise. It's all made with premium
Yeah,
hemp
this
grown
thing
right
is
here in the
just a
United
big giant infomercial. I'm sorry, Jeremy, but that's all you are. A fucking giant infomercial. You're always, check this out, buy this, or do me a favor. Head out to blah, 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 and buy my coffee. That's all you hear on your channel, bro. I haven't been watching 24 minutes. I know nobody watches my stuff because, well, I truly refuse to actually sell myself. That I've had.
Some of you guys, your comments are highlighted in pink. How do you get that?
I've had some commercials that have been Oh yes, man. That is the only headache I have when it comes to starting a new character.
Hey, next up, I think
He's actually doing everything without a freaking drill.
to testify about his role in COVID-19.
Huh. Oh well. What? Oh man, these things. Why does it
Pardon,
always,
Fauci. I also heard
always,
about this. The
always
good news is it means Fauci can't he
freezes?
can't plead the fifth when he's called to testify in front of Congress. Typically, if he commits insanity, it's probably
What
so
the
he can't.
fuck? How far does this thing
He
go?
doesn't have that right.
Really?
That right is waived
Really?
when you accept
I am
presidential
sorry for
and here's
whoever
the kicker.
actually
If he
designed
lies
all of
under
that.
oath, he can be arrested
For nothing.
perjury. Now I'm gonna kind of add some facts to that. If he lies under oath and that's proven, then he can be arrested for perjury. So Fauci and the vice presidency. So all crimes. There's probably for those, in theory. I know we got the automatic wild card too. Depending on those are hard. What if you all right, you can do anything you want for the rest of your life, any kind of criminal activity, you're pardoned for that. It's not like a preemptive pardon, it's a post-crime pardon. He's a good doctor, and perjury is a crime. Now, what's the legal ramifications of perjury? I mean, especially this isn't like a small claims court perjury kind of thing. It's like if he's testified in front of Congress, commits perjury, I'm sure many would really want to throw the book and get the maximum sentence. Penalty, punishment, before. But I don't know what the maximum punishment for perjury is. But nonetheless,
Second delay.
that's fun. My golden scenario in that situation is Rand Paul subpoenas Fauci. Fauci can't plead the fifth, so he has to go testify.
Did you hear that?
No, Fauci just says everything he did and just absolutely tells the truth. That would be so great and also frustrating because, it's so great. He's guilty. And it'd just be great. But then you can't go to jail for
Okay.
that. You can't punish him for that. Anyway, we shall move on. Step into news. Fighting come out. Elon should be deported. Elon has come out and said Steve Bannon has been in prison for a long time. But what's more significant is President Trump, and there's a few things. First,
I don't know if I should keep this character or go back to the other one. I have no idea where I'm supposed to be headed.
He's gonna So
What?
that was a
Oh.
question. Before Elon, President Trump says, I don't know. We'll have to take it up. That's a big deal.
That old Rosetta file might be pretty valuable. Nice find. Let's check if there are any other documents around. These files should be more than enough for Claire. Let's head back to Greywater
So that's
and
the
give them
gist
to
of
her.
why Elon's upset, according to Trump, which makes sense to me. Trump's, I think his bill, making a big, beautiful bill, doesn't include more subsidies for Elon's companies, like his EV, Teslas are electric. Elon gets a lot of subsidies, and I think there were things Elon
Duh.
wanted in the bill